esta es la tienda, el estudio, y donde se hace todo el proceso de los sombreros de Nick Fouquet. Nick Fouquet es uno de los sombrereros más famosos del mundo, de los pocos que hay. Ha ido creciendo un poco la industria, pero se perdió durante mucho tiempo. Y un poco él ha contribuido a reivindicar este accesorio. Y hace unos sombreros maravillosos, uno distinto del otro. E insisto, es una industria. Es un hombre joven y un gran talento, reconocido en todo el mundo. Y yo digo que ha reivindicado al accesorio, porque hoy más que nunca se ha revalorizado lo que es un sombrero. Ya no solo se ve como un accesorio más, sino que te puede cambiar completamente pues toda tu imagen. Y nos dimos a la tarea de buscar a Nick Fouquet. ¿Quién es este joven del que todo mundo habla en todas partes del mundo como el sombrerero loco? Y llegamos hasta acá, hasta Venice, aquí en California, y nos recibió. Y bueno, pues ahora vamos a conversar con él y van ustedes a entender por qué Nick Fouquet es Nick Fouquet, este joven que tiene pues el encuentro, digamos, del mundo europeo y el mundo americano, y eso lo representa en cada una de sus creaciones, en cada uno de sus sombreros. Insisto, ninguno es igual al otro, todos son hechos a mano, y en cada uno de estos sombreros, es lo que hemos podido ver, está la esencia de este gran personaje. Es Nick Fouquet, y después de hoy, créanme, no lo van a olvidar nunca. Your dad is still in Paris.
Yeah.
He lives in Paris. So you go a lot there.
Well, I go to Paris 4 times a year, sometimes more. I present and show the collection. So we have spring, summer, fall, winter, pre-holiday, all those. So I have to build the collection every time, which is like difficult because, I mean, not difficult, you know, I have to put a theme together and I have to reinvent the wheel, you know, I had to have, but then you have to like showcase it in a different light and decorate it and really, you know, bring it to market so it goes to places like Louisa World and Mykonos. But it's a fun process, but the creative process sometimes is very you're like, oh my God, you know, how am I gonna like reinvent this? And every time, like, right, Carlos, we're just like, wow, how did it like?
You always work together?
Well, he helps me logistically with some of the things, but yeah.
How many people do you have working with you?
Well, total, we're about 15 or 16, I'd say, in between production and management and sales, administrative, all that stuff.
And this is the store?
This is the store.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is where you work also, or what?
This is where we work. So the front is where we showcase some of the ready-to-wear. We do custom process. We have our accessories, and then we have the collection hats that we showcase and show in Paris.
Now the accessories are the new stuff, no?
Yeah.
Like the bags and
yeah,
stuff?
so it's stuff like this, like belts that we've done, you know, that. And we have some bags and wallets and small leather goods, which has been like an extension of the brand, you know? And people love it because it's such an organic transition from what we do with hats, which hats is like the soul. Well, you know, that's like my love, my passion, but to do things like, you know, this is...
It's very nice. I love that one.
And with the idea of putting like a, you know,
You put
bring
your
it back
hat
to the hat,
that's
you know?
beautiful. I love that thing. Now, why the
matchstick.
match?
Well, the matchstick.
I mean, I know that's your
the matchstick
your
to me
sign.
is like a
brand.
Yeah, it's our trademark. It's our
It's a
like
trademark.
alligator or polo, you know.
Yeah.
But it's for me, it just symbolizes a bunch of different things. But mostly, it's like the spark of creativity and the spark of you know, the spark of life. And to me, the matchstick is such a symbol for that.
What about the hats? I mean, you say the hat is like your soul. You change hats every day, no?
I wouldn't say I change it every day. I think we create, and I make so many hats on a day-to-day basis. I feel like they're all sort of like an extension of myself, and you know, like what goes into it, the quality, the love, the creative direction, and so they all tell a story. To me, it's like hats are meant to be fun. You know, hats is such a cool accessory because they're versatile. They have a utilitarian function, you know, to like protect you from the sun or go out in the rain. But why make it boring? Why make it just like black or brown or white? Why not add some elements that showcases our uniqueness? And they're meant to be fun, you know, and they're meant to be walked down. And anytime someone sees a hat, they're like, oh my God, like what's with that hat? It doesn't, you know, hats are such a playful accessory.
And for you, all of them has a story. I mean, since all the process and the
They really do.
process.
They all have a story. They all have a story. They all have life. And then once that person gets that hat, they put their own life and their own story into it as they go. But usually when we even custom make somebody for someone, we'll sit them down. We'll be like,
What
where
do
are
you
you
want?
from? What do you like? What's your favorite color? What do you like to do?
Like if you're gonna make one for me, you were gonna be asking all those questions.
I'd be like, what do you want to use it? Is it to go to dinner? Is it to go hang out at the beach in Tulum? Is it to just like for every day? Is it dressed up? Is it dressed down? What's your favorite color? What do you like to do? And all these things go into the creation of this unique custom process that is, you know, for you. And so, and I think it becomes like an extension of you, and people recognize that, you know? And I've had so many clients be like, oh my God, like this hat has now become one with me. And it's just like, it's really beautiful.
Of course, they're all handmade, no?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the process? How do you start and stuff?
Sure. I mean, the process is pretty extensive, and you know, it's like everyone, like a chef, has their own recipe on how to do it, and I think we've sort of like, I don't want to say mastered ours, but really it's sort of like honed in on our recipe and our direction. But it starts with a lot of steam, a lot of fire, a lot of water, a lot of sanding, but we use these bell-shaped felts, you know, and we use these mahogany or poplar wooden blocks. So the process hasn't really changed in over like 100 years.
It's always the same.
It's always been the same.
More or less, but you put
our special recipe and our touches, and
But
we
salt
figured
and
out.
pepper, no?
Yeah, I figured out how to make it like softer, or how to make it silkier, or how to finish it off better, or how to make better materials to put into it. But it starts always with steam and a wooden block. Do we have one of those blocks? Yeah. Mahogany, yeah. And so then it depends on the person's head shape. You know, everyone's got different head shapes. Everyone's got different shoe sizes. So we figure out what's that for someone like you, and then we get your block, and then we block it. We also do this, which is like, we use a special conformature, which is this piece of equipment. Since everyone has a different shape, we put this around your head, and then it closes in, and then we cut it out into a wooden block. So then so I have clients in like Europe, and they're like, "Hey, like I love this hat that you created for the collection, or that's on Instagram. You know, can I get it?" And we're like,
myself.
"Cool, we have
your sizes.
we got
and
your
everything.
size. Don't worry, like we're good to go." So there's a lot of attention to detail.
And then you set them on fire. All of them? Why do you do that?
Some of
or
them.
you
not
just started
all of
like
them. Well, I think
inventing.
how it originally started, when I remember going into the process of doing what we do, is that I noticed that the old hat makers from 80, 100 years ago would burn it so that it would. See, this is the.
What is this?
This is a felt.
A felt.
This is the felt, so it comes like this, and then this is like a block. So we steam it, and then we put it on top of here, and we have to mold it, so it becomes unified.
Okay.
And then there's so many different steps involved into it.
Yeah.
But with the fire process is like a really interesting process, because it's something that traditionally has been done for 100 years. They would do it to sort of like burn off the extra like hair fibers that were there, so it would make it smoother. But I think we took it a step further and just were like, well, let's see what happens if it keeps going. And then it started to patina and change the color and make it different, and it's almost like it told even like deeper of a story, for the hat, and it gave it almost like this rugged edge and this vintage antique sort of vibe, which I always have loved.
Which has been used, no? Like
yeah, it's just something where it feels like it has even like a longer, deeper story, and so I just found it to be so beautiful in the patina process, and so we sort of like figured out our way how to like age it in a specific way.
How did you start in this? I mean, you were a model since you were very young, right?
I mean, I did a bunch of different jobs. Like modeling was something I did here and there to sort of like pay for the bills, and during when I was building this, I would definitely go do some of those to help fund the business.
All those things, yeah.
But it was an accident. I don't think it's rare to be like, oh, my father was a hat maker or this. It's just one of those things where.
Because usually that's the story, no? Maybe.
Yeah, a little bit sometimes, but I think it was one of those things where I worked for a designer, and I was thrown behind an industrial sewing machine to learn how to like cut and sew and put patterns together, and I fell in love with it. I went to school for environmental science and sustainable development, so my career path was more like conservation, preservation, renewable energy, and this is I was taking like ecology, biology classes.
Nothing to do with this.
No, nothing to do with it,
really.
but I always had like a artistic inclination to want to like speak my voice, and I had a vision of how I saw my world and how I saw things and like what people would be wearing in my world, and so I got to do it through the medium of hat making, and I feel like I get to create my world just through hats, but my voice extends so much more beyond the hats, and that's the sort of next phase of what we've all been like working hard and planning, and the next evolution. But to get into the hats was an accident, I think it was one of those things where I was at the right place at the right time, and I saw like a niche in the market where hats hadn't changed in so long.
I know. They're always like a little bit the same, right?
They were always the same.
Yeah,
and the same color, it was black or brown or white, and I was like,
the Panama hat, let's say, no? It's always more or less the same, which is beautiful.
Which was always like a natural hat with a black band.
Exactly.
That's it. And I was like, and so also what was undermined was the quality of what was put into hats. I think in the fashion industry it was such a underdeveloped and undervalued product where you'd have these designer build these whole huge collection, like beautiful shoes and these beautiful dresses, and the hat was like, oh, just like put the hat on, and I was like, this makes the whole outfit if you do it right.
Of course.
And they were just sort of like, oh, it's not important. I'm like, everything's important. That's very important. So I think.
But it changes the whole look.
It changes the whole look.
Yeah.
It changes the whole look.
Absolutely.
And so when I started doing my research, I realized these guys, at the time when I started, there was maybe like 300 hat makers doing this way in the world, and I was
That's it?
Yeah, it was really small contingency of
Is it an
people.
extension? I mean, it's an art in extension?
It is. It's an art, but again, you know, like after doing history and research, it was sort of like these cowboy, Western American, and you know, South American gaucho and cowboys. It was like a quality hat, it lasts a lifetime, and it was meant to protect you.
Mm-hmm. And that's it.
And that's it. But to bring it into the sort of fashion realm, to be able to like, you know, deal with New York or Paris Fashion Week, people, when I was presenting this, they were like, whoa, this is so different, and the price point, we haven't even like, I had to educate them. I had to be like, look, this is what hats mean, this is what hats are, this is what hats can do.
It's like a pair of shoes.
Yeah, but
you had to educate them because they are expensive. Your hats are expensive.
My hats are expensive, and because again, the quality and the craftsmanship that goes into it, and the quality of the straw or the felt or the materials is intrinsically, you know, makes the hat what it is. It isn't like it's a craft, you know. It's there's love, there's time, there's so much that goes into it. There's so many components, and it's not just like put it on and then throw it out. It's like, you know, each hat can take like a day or 2 or 3, even a week, depending on like the curing process and how long we wait for it. So it's a labor of love.
The one you're wearing, for example.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. This is, how long did it take you to do it, for example?
San Francisco, a lot of tech action.
A una tasa anualizada del 2.1%.
In the S&P.
We saw the euro on a 7-day.
En la jornada de media semana, la moneda mexicana recuperó.
We begin in the oil patch. Saudi Arabia.
Donde le tendré la información más relevante de las acciones en Wall Street.
To Bloomberg, the first court Asia.
US and Japan duke it out over exchange.
Desde la crisis financiera, las acciones han sido relativamente más atractivas.
De negocios, economía y finanzas. Comenzamos.
Beautiful. This is, how long did it take you to do it, for example?
It took me a year. No. But in a lot of ways, it's taken me so long to understand my craft that people are like, oh, it's so quick for you to do a hat. I'm like, yeah, but it took me 6 years to learn.
No, so it's like, yeah.
I mean, I you know, it's like, I'm always like trying to push myself to do better, but it's like it's a whole process. It's a whole process.
And you used to have a partner, or you just started by yourself, or?
Well,
You had a mentor?
I had a lot of mentors along the way. The thing is that, you know, I met this cowboy Western a guy that, you know, was telling me about, that's how I got really interested. I learned about this process, and then I found out that there's no way, you can't go to school. You can't go to school to learn how to hat make. And there might be guys that know here or there, but it was one of those things where...
It's maybe a family tradition, like the father will teach the son or whatever, no?
Yeah, and what happened was I realized that it's such a secretive art too, you know? Like, I get phone calls or emails all the time being like, hey, can you teach me how to do this? It's like, I had to learn, like, I'm not just giving my, secret, but, you know, people think that it just doesn't work like that. It's been like an honor to even been to the position that I'm at, and I respect it because it is an art and it's a secret art. But along the way, I'd have friends teach me little tricks about like how to do a bow properly or how to sand a little better. And so over the years, you get all this information and then you make it your own. The way I make a hat is different than how someone else will. Everyone's got their own technique. I just think ours is the best. No, don't put that in there.
It is. So you said only 300
at the time when I started.
And in the States?
There was like 30,
That's
right?
it.
Well, this is what I was told from the invention. Yes,
Okay.
yes. I think with the evolution of you know, the celebrity clientele that's been wearing it, whether it's ours over time or just in general, like, have really exponentially helped the cause of like hat making and custom hat making and the uniqueness of it. But yeah, it's definitely been growing, you know, and
which is nice, which is
good, you know, which is good not just for us, but for everybody out there, you know. That
is there a culture again of wearing hats? I mean, like.
Yeah, you know, I mean, personally, I think like there will always be a culture, and hats will always be relevant. Like, will there be like highs, like lows and peaks? Of course, with anything, but hats are here to stay, and they're not going anywhere. You know, they're not going to like disappear. People will always wear them. Will always find a use for them. Will always enjoy decorating themselves to going to an event. So.
Are you always wearing a hat?
I am. You know, sometimes I'll put my hat down to try to be more like, you know, low key, but I don't think.
No, that won't work. No.
So yeah, I do wear hat. I love it. It's fun. It's become, you know, part of who I am, and I feel like.
Yeah, it's an extension of yourself.
It's an extension of myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you been to Ecuador?
I have.
Because not a lot of people know that the Panama hat is from Ecuador.
Correct.
No? The best ones.
The best.
The best.
Yes, it's like a big misnomer. Everyone thinks the Panama hats, and they're still in the industry. They call them Panama hats. But
I know, yeah.
They're from Ecuador. There's from this town, from many towns in Ecuador. Monte Cristi or Cuenca in the mountains where they weave these. And the story, you know, of that is so beautiful because that's a whole art in themselves. It takes them days to weave a single hat, and it's an art, and their children aren't interested in doing what their parents or grandparents did for a living, which is weaving, because, you know, they prefer to
not anymore.
So it's like, you know, one day the art of weaving these hats might not be around. Might disappear, you know. So it's like trying to keep the tradition alive, and, you know.
Did you learn to weave?
No, that's a whole other.
I know.
That's a whole.
They're
other process.
amazing.
Yeah, because they start here. You see in the center piece right here, and then they go around and around. They weave it around to make the whole hat. That takes so long.
What materials do you use other than straw and like? What other materials are you?
Well, mostly we use straw and we use felt, and those are like the two main ingredients. And sometimes we'll do fabric-based hats, but mostly what we're known for is our felts and our straws.
Okay, like for winter.
Felts. Yeah.
Which ones do? I mean, they're different, no?
They're so different.
And they're different to work with, also, no?
Yeah, I mean, they're different. They're very different, but I appreciate both tremendously. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say which one I like better. Right now, I'm wearing a straw because it's hot. It's the summer,
I know,
and I'm like traveling.
Of course. And winter,
or most of the year, you know, we use like felt. Yeah.
And then the beaver, no?
Yeah, the Castor.
Castor.
Yeah.
So you're French. Where were you born?
So I was born in New York City, and I grew up in the southwest of France till the age of 7. So French is my first language.
Oh, I see.
I think it's like really helped with culture, like my background and my aesthetic and
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, I think I'm so fortunate that I had the bicultural upbringing because it serves me so well aesthetically with what I do.
Well,
how
Europe
I
is a
live.
place for that, right?
Yeah, you know, I mean, we're talking about so much tradition and style and history, and I've been fortunate that, you know,
I'm fashion there.
both my fashion, and both my parents are very like have a lot of great taste and you know, so it's sort of like this European and American.
So your father
melange.
is French,
My father's French.
and your mother?
She's American.
She's American. Okay. So that's why you were born here in New York, and
Yeah.
then you traveled to Europe.
Yeah.
Okay. What inspires you? Like traveling and
Traveling's like such a huge inspiration for me in my life. I think it's, you know, I was so fortunate from such a young age to go to so many different countries with my family, but then when I was in school, I sort of had this nomadic mentality, and I would go live in so many different places and experience the culture. And
I read you went to Argentina, no? When you were very young.
yes,
Like you just-
17, yeah. And I lived there for 6 months, and
Why there? I mean,
well, at the time, I feel like I was really lost in my path and direction in life, and things, you know, it was like going into some sort of manhood and change and life. So going down there gave me an appreciation for the environment and an appreciation for sort of like different visuals, and it's still something that's like super important to me. You know, traveling plays it like a lot of the collections I built are based on, you know, the idea of going to Cuba or the idea of going to like Greece or going to all these different places. So
you've been in Cuba.
no, I haven't. That was a collection.
have to go.
I know. That
no,
was
you
a
have to
collection
go.
that it was sometimes
Everybody wears hats there.
I know.
It's beautiful.
I know.
You're gonna love
I
it.
gotta go. I want to go. So the last collection was based there, but it was more of like the idea of like that was one of the
The
collections where
Habana, no?
yeah, the idea and the dream of what, you know, I always build these fictional characters living in a certain place. So Cuba, or we did one in Morocco, or we did one in south of France, and so I build these characters, and that's how I sort of be able to create the collection. So it gives me, and Cuba was one of the places where I've always dreamt of going, so it was almost like this dreamy idea of what it would be. So it doesn't give me any like restrictions or barriers. It's sort of very imaginative.
Yeah, of course.
But does that make sense? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's even better
it's fun.
because
it's
you
fun.
create your own. Yeah, it's even better.
Because if you know something, then you know something as it is. But if you don't know something, you have
You
the
imagine
capability to dream and imagine it of however you want. And
It's
there's
like when you
nothing wrong
read.
or nothing right because so it's a fun process.
Yeah.
¿Gustan venir a ver el taller?
See, no?
Sí. Hey, want to see if they can see the back?
Can we
Sure.
go there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go.
Yeah, you show us and then.
Oh my God.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How
Hola.
Hola.
Wow.
How are you?
I love that.
are you? What's up?
Wow.
We just finished this.
No. It's beautiful. Wow.
You guys are gonna all have to sign releases.
No, here, you have no idea. Why?
No, it's beautiful.
We just finished that one for a client, and like the details of like the hand stitch here and the
this is the
patina, yeah.
I gotta say,
That's why you're called the Mad Hatter, no?
I gotta say something. That
I don't know, am I?
That's my favorite character in Alice in Wonderland.
Well, it's the best.
Oh man, that's the best.
The best. He's
Which
the
is
best.
good. You don't like to be called the Mad Hatter? It's nice.
Well, you know, I tell people
It makes
they're like, are you the Mad Hatter? I'm like, yeah, but I'll tell you why. And they're like, why? I'm like, because you have to be really crazy to want to get into this business.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to be like mad to be like, I'm gonna get in and becoming a hat
I'm
maker.
gonna be a hatter.
Yeah,
No.
you're crazy. You're
After
mad.
studying science.
Yeah.
Of course.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm the mad. I'm crazy to do that.
Yeah, but well, that's my favorite character. I love Alice in Wonderland, and I love the Mad
Did you ever
Hatter.
see the video that we did
No.
for Alice in Wonderland?
No.
Oh my God!
You have
Can
to
you
send me
show
the
it
link.
on the?
On the webpage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You love it. Do you
Wow.
really love Alice in
I
Wonderland?
read my favorite book since I was 7 years old.
You have to, like, 1 minute. I have to show
Of
you. You're gonna
course.
be like, I can't believe
Yeah,
you
I'm
haven't
gonna
seen
love
it.
it, yeah.
I did this like 4 or 5 years ago, and to this day, everyone's like,
My children always give me like books from Alice in Wonderland, and I love it. I'm a huge fan.
oh my God, we got to show you this. And then I'll bring you guys in the back and
Yeah,
show you how
great,
we
great,
do what
great,
we do.
yeah. So everybody works here?
Yeah, everyone's sort of like coming in right now, like trickling in, but you know, we have our production, seamstresses, blockers, you know,
The whole process, yeah. And you're always here, no?
I'm here. When I'm not here, I'm traveling,
Yeah.
you know, but it's
Part of the business.
But you know,
part
it's
of the
grown. You know, originally it was just me, and then it grew into me and one person, and then now me and 16 people, and now, you know, I operate and run a full-fledged business, and it's like required me to do so many different things.
You've been growing a lot, yeah, which is
Start
nice.
from the beginning. Here you go.
I need
All right, press play. You got to see. This is Alice in Wonderland.
You see, we are all mad here.
You don't know about a Mad Hatter without you have read Alice. Truth is, the Mad Hatter has nothing to do with Alice. It was already a common saying like, mad as a March hare, mad as a buck, mad as a May butter, mad as a wet hen. And check this out, mad as an adder, with no H, which is the Anglo-Saxon for viper. Hatter comes from adder. It's a corruption. They changed it just because Hatter was a more relatable character than Adder. So if you've heard of mercury poisoning and madness and Hatters, well, that's just not true. Hatters were and are not mad, sir. Yes, I'm a Hatter. And this is all on my defense. Venice, California. Came over here in 2008, not knowing much about hats until I met my mentor. He taught me everything I know about hats and hat making. Like that a hat is your soulmate, and finding the right hat is like dating. First, you get a glimpse of it, you're suddenly attracted without you even knowing why. You want it. You want it so bad. But still, you gotta smell it. Touch it. Yeah, just try it on. And even when you know it's the right one, you gotta break it in, right? You know what I mean. You two guys have to become one. Two souls. One the reflection of the other. One empowering the other. You're gonna feel special. And from now on, people are gonna see your hat first, and then you, because you are special. Look at my hat. Look at my hat. This is me. I'm different. I'm a rebel. My name is Nick Fouquet. I'm a hatter with the H, and I make hats.
Bravo! Wow!
I told you you'd like
it. Now I'm a bigger fan. Wow!
I had to show you.
Look at this.
I told you. Isn't that so cool? You said you like Alice in Wonderland. I'm like, I got the perfect thing.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
Isn't that cool?
Very cool.
Good. I'm glad I showed you. Carlos, will you give me what's it called? The turn downer? Do you know the thing to bring it down? The stick, the wooden stick, it's here. Marcos has it somewhere. Marquitos, where's the, you know what I'm talking about.
Nick Fouquet.
So this is the beginning process for everything. So if you imagine, we do this every time. Yeah. That's the first process.
Wow.
And then there's like 20 more.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you're very well known all over the world, and the celebrities wear your hats. Remember who was the first one?
El financiero Bloomberg.
muscular y conectiva ha desaparecido, todos los huesos están sueltos. Esta es la primera formación. Vamos a ver la profundidad. Sin tapa. Aquí hay un esqueleto saliendo. De uno solo de las tumbas que hemos encontrado con esa característica de arqueología monumental cavado en esa roca, tenía como 108 individuos.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first one when I started. It was in a garage basement, and this rock and roll guy comes down, and I was like, "Who is it?" And it was Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, and I remember that was the first time I had like a musical artist sort of come and appreciate and wear it. And then what happened was really not too long later. It was like Pharrell and Madonna. You know, we did these hats for them. For the Grammys. You never know if they're gonna wear them or not. And you know, Pharrell ended up wearing a hat. He wore the crazy Mountie hat that everyone remembers and knows. But then when he was on stage performing, he was he wore the one we made. And then, you know, after that was really such a resurgence in sort of the industry. And it was really, when I look back on it, was like an important part, not just for me, but for hats in general.
Yeah, hats
you know?
in general.
I mean, I think again, like it was such a sleepy industry. It was such
boring. It was
a little just like, you know, it was not an important part of the industry. You know, in my opinion, it was just sort of like overlooked.
Yeah.
And I think like it was just sort of like the first time that there was a way to show like that it always has been a craft and an art, but you know, more so that doesn't really have boundaries, that isn't so constrained and confined to this is what it's supposed to be and this is what it should be, but like breaking that down and being like, no, we're gonna get eccentric, we're gonna be unique, like let's do things.
You sell online or not?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, and then do we have this is a store?
This is our main flagship store, and then we sell to accounts all around the world, like Barney's in New York, or Brown's in London, or places in Japan. So that's yeah.
You chose this place to live, or the Venice, or you like it, or?
Well, you know, I traveled so much, and it was when it came down to sort of like figure out a place for me to live in the United States, I felt, well, like, you know, Los Angeles, and especially the west side of Los Angeles, it wouldn't be so bad because I love the ocean, I love the mountains, I love, you know, the outdoor environment, and to me it was conducive to my lifestyle. So I thought this would be a perfect place to live. I spent time living in New York when I was younger, Miami, and some other places in the U.S. and this just
very different New York than here, no? Like
very different,
very different. The lifestyle, everything.
I think people, you know, especially even on the East Coast in New York, appreciate and understand the California lifestyle so much more today than they used to in the past. So it's really been embraced, and also on a fashion level. Like I go to Paris, and Los Angeles has had such a huge impact on the industry and fashion, you know, on how things look.
Now, there's a lot of Mexican living here. Do you have Mexicans working with you?
I do, yes. Yeah. And I love them as a culture, as a people.
How's your Spanish, though?
It's un poquito. Un poquito nada.
You should learn. Why?
Well, I know because I'm so busy and I travel, so I speak French fluently. So, you know, I talk with like Carlos or Marcos, and my Spanish is like, I can understand it. It's just really hard for me to sort of like, I can speak like, they can understand what I want and what I need to do, whether it's with like the hilo, you know, the thread, or there's words I know. Right, Marcos?
But you should learn. It's a beautiful language.
It's a beautiful language.
Yeah, and you were in Argentina, Buenos Aires.
Yeah, it would have been helpful on Ibiza.
Ibiza, exactly.
It's you know what? To me, English and Spanish are the two most used and important languages.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
You know, especially for living in Southern California.
Yeah.
So next time we hang out, I'll be fluent in Spanish.
Okay.
How about that?
Great. We will. Promise.
I will. It's on my list to do because it is such a beautiful language. And it's so close to, it's got the Latin roots of French, so definitely have an advantage on that.
And then you have them here.
I
Carlos,
know.
teach him.
Yeah, I will.
I can understand.
No, he understands. He does a pretty good job at communicating, and like he said, like his French really helps out when we are speaking Spanish and we're talking back. He's like, oh yeah, that, and so he gets it right away.
Okay.
Aquí tenemos, o sea, vienen de todas fases de vida, viene gente aquí a conocer a Nick, a agarrar un pedacito de él en cada sombrero que ellos ordenan. Y a veces cuando yo miro gente que viene, digo, actores o jugadores profesionales que vienen aquí a la tienda, yo digo, wow, uno va a los partidos por verlos a ellos y ellos vienen aquí a vernos a nosotros y a ver a Nick, porque pues realmente como él capta capta las imágenes de ellos, de
cada quien.
sí, es increíble como él capta todo eso y la gente pues viene y lo busca a él y vienen aquí y hasta ellos, si eran fanáticos, se vuelven más fanáticos de él al fin de terminar el sombrero. Y
That
cuando
just happened to me.
Yeah.
Eso me pasó a mí.
Vienen a recoger el sombrero y se lo ponen y dicen, wow, o sea, yo tenía imaginado esto y mi mente está, o sea, no puedo ni captar en palabras lo que siento cuando se están poniendo el sombrero, dicen. Y está muy padre.
¿Cuántos años llevas trabajando?
Yo llevo ya 2 años trabajando con él. 2 años
¿Y
con
antes?
él. Antes trabajaba yo en otros tipos de industria.
Ah, nada que ver con eso.
No,
¿Cómo llegaste con él?
Pues mi esposa trabaja para un diseñador de zapatos y él ha mirado qué creatividad yo tenía y me dijo, pues, vente a trabajar con Nick. Nick tú serías perfecto para Nick, y desde entonces yo me convertí pues amigos con Nick y pues
Está increíble.
estuvo algo.
Tú eres mexicano. Bueno,
Sí,
tus padres son
mis padres son mexicanos.
Tú naciste aquí.
Sí.
Pero tienes la nacionalidad.
No, soy de aquí, pero mis papás ya me han dicho, me han regañado diciendo, no, te tienes que hacer también nacionalidad de México. Sí. Sí.
Y es un tipo increíble, ¿no?
Es es un diseñador muy agradable para trabajar con él. Yo he trabajado con mucha gente y yo no me puedo alejar de él. Yo tengo que estar trabajando con él porque me gusta mucho la creatividad, cómo mi trabajo cambia día a día. Nunca es lo mismo aquí, siempre es diferente con él.
Wow.
Él es...
Oye, ¿las celebridades vienen por appointment o llegan de repente?
No, le hablan a él, le mandan textos, emails a su Instagram que le dicen, hey, ¿sabes qué? Me gustó este sombrero que hiciste. ¿Cómo puedo hacer para venir? Y él, ok, ven, yo voy a estar aquí esta semana, y vienen y agarran su sombrero y se van más feliz que nunca.
Si yo me mando a hacer un sombrero, ¿cuánto tarda en eso?
Ahorita el proceso dura como de 12 a 14 semanas, porque es un proceso, como él explicó, es un proceso de... Sí, pero cuando yo pienso que eso también le da algo más al producto, porque cuando tú lo ordenas y lo estás ordenando para que te llegue, cuando llegan las 12 semanas y te llega la llamada que, hey, ya está tu sombrero, ¿a dónde te lo envío? Y, o sea, es algo que dices, wow, ya me va a llegar, y cuando te llega es todavía más una sorpresa. Es como, yo casi me siento como que cada cliente de nosotros, cada vez que agarran su sombrero, es como Navidad.
Ay,
es como Navidad.
Qué bonito. Pues
sí.
Felicidades.
Gracias.
Porque además eres, pues, su gente más cercana aquí, ¿no?
Sí.
Te has convertido en...
Sí, me he convertido en uno de los más cercanos aquí con él y pues me ha gustado trabajar para él.
Ellos son clientes, por ejemplo.
Sí, ellos son clientes. Ellos son ellos vienen de una cuenta que tenemos nosotros en Colorado. Entonces, también igual como vienen clientes, vienen gente de todo el mundo para meter órdenes para las próximas colecciones de Nick. Entonces han venido aquí, como él dice, gente de Japón, de China, de Grecia, de todas partes vienen a meter sus órdenes para poder tener un pedacito de Nick en sus tiendas.
Now, when you model, you still do something, no? Like, when you like something, you wear your hat?
Sometimes it depends.
You try to?
No, not that I try to, because it depends. It's sort of like a complex situation because I'm very protective of us and the brand and our vision. So I don't want to translate that into someone else's vision and direction. But sometimes, get hired to do a project as me, as a personality, as Nick Fouquet, and then they want me in the hat. But if it's like purely on a modeling standpoint, which I don't do that much, it doesn't make sense for me to sort of lend my name and my product to their vision and their direction of where they want to take their fashion brand.
So you don't sell hats in Mexico. You should.
I do, Tulum.
Oh, you do? Oh, in Tulum.
Yeah, but we need to do a pop-up store in Mexico City.
Do that.
I'm serious.
Really?
I would love to.
And you're gonna love Tulum.
I mean, I want to go to Mexico City though.
Yeah. Where in Mexico have you? You've never been Mexico City?
Never
Where
been to
in
Mexico City. Just
Zihuatanejo,
Zihuatanejo, Saladita.
yeah.
And I go in a couple months to Sayulita.
Ah, okay. So let us know whenever you come to Mexico. We would love to see you
I'd
there.
love to
And
be
let's
there.
do something there. You have Mexican people working with you, so we'd love to see you there. And we'll meet you again. No,
Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll see you again.
I'd love to, yeah. Definitely.
This is going to be great. Thank you so much, Nick.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now I want my hat done from Mr. Fouquet.
Okay, we gotta do it. We'll do it before I fly out. Let's do it.
Yeah? Ah, órale.
What do you want, a straw or
Straw.
Let's see, maybe we have something here.
Yeah, I think I do.
Let's see, and we'll see in the front. Let's look in the front for you, and then
If
it'll
it
be.
fits, but
Yeah,
you
and
do
we can
something
change-
special.
We'll do something. We'll keep it here. We'll put your
Exactly,
stuff in
exactly.
it, and then we'll send it to you. or
Exactly.
something. Cool.
We're all going to use Nick Fouquet.
Love it.